You know the drill. This is Rob Penny with, of course, Rob Penny. I just finished writing a blog entry and obviously reviewing a piece of content today on YouTube, and that's what we're going to talk about. It happens to be a keynote speech from Seth Godin. Those of you who follow me know one of my favorite. Those of you who are new to the channel, I appreciate you being here, and if you like the content, feel free to subscribe for more. So as always, got my notebooks here, got the freshly written blog. If you want to check it out, the link is down below in the description section, and I'm going to dive into it. So the keynote speech I watched on YouTube was from Seth Godin, who is, I guess you could best describe him as an author and also speaker and creator as well. I believe he came out of book packaging as well as websites during the dot-com boom. I really like his insights, I believe because he's thoughtful, but also because he has a unique perspective since he was around in the called the pre-internet world. So a lot of his wisdoms not just come with creativity, but the fact that he has a great deal of experience. Anyway, links down below. You watch the video. I'm sure you'll realize why I like him so much after you watch the video. So the keynote is Your Job is to Make Art, and it is from the ConvertKit Craft and Commerce Conference, a lot of C's there, in Boise, Idaho in 2017. I've probably watched this video, gosh, I don't know, 10, 15 times over the past 2 years, and just happened to finally make the video about it today. So I just want to give you there's a slew of, you call them nuggets of wisdom, things to take away, lessons learned from this video. But for me in particular, I had a top 3 that I just really enjoyed. It's really what I focus on in the blog. And I also include down below, I think I had, 30 different additional pieces of, I call them nuggets of wisdom, so you can feel free to read through in the description below. I list them all. But I'm just going to focus on the top 3. And those 3 are, the first one, you want to target the smallest possible audience you can live with because they will be delighted. Number 2, this is a quote that we'll dive into the meaning. People like us do things like this. And number 3, this is one I have to need to remind myself of more. Everyone does not care. People don't have the problem that you're trying to solve for, or at least they don't think they do. So those 3 takeaways from this keynote speech, which I believe is roughly 44 minutes long, were my biggest takeaways. And I'm going to dive into why and how I'm going to incorporate them in my life moving forward. Highly suggest you watch the entire video. It's really an easy listen. Really doesn't seem like 44 minutes. And yeah, I love it. So the first one, you want to target the smallest possible audience you can live with because they will be delighted. Seth's concept, and obviously a lot of this in my own words and my own perspective, is that when we set out to, whether we work within an organization like myself, or you own a company where you're trying to sell a product or service to customers, we can tend to want to make a solution that fits the majority of the company, the majority of the workers within the company, or most people, the average masses, we'll call them. And what happens, and this is a quote from Seth as well, is that we create average products for average people. Meaning by trying to target everyone, the old, and I say this a lot, I'm guilty of this, the 80-20, find something that works for the 80% of people, we come out with an average result, something that really doesn't wow, it doesn't pop, it's not that different. Therefore, that's really a lot of the reason why efforts can fail and things don't catch on, because people frankly just don't care. So the first point I picked out, you want to target the smallest possible audience you can live with because they will be delighted. The concept is take a look at the smallest group of people you can find that your skill set or service can help, and then specifically focus on those people. The reasoning being is that what you're going to create is not going to be average. It's going to be very specific, and it's going to be very targeted to this small group of folks. This small group of folks also currently has the problem, and judging by the fact that everyone else is making something for the 80, not the 20, they are underserved right now. So you will be delighting these folks when you go ahead and make a solution and come to them and provide it. Therefore, your acceptance rate or the likelihood of success of whatever your idea might be is going to skyrocket because of the smaller audience. So overall, at least for me, the reason why I like this so much is it's helped me define value better. I tend to, whenever I want to set out to do something to improve my work in my career, I try to focus on value as in what can help the most people, as opposed to what this is suggesting, maybe I can create massive amounts of value for a small select number of people. So it's just really a brand new way to look at value creation, and I find that really interesting. So I'm not going to say that, in my work life that I'm not going to find solutions for the masses, but I'm also going to specifically work on some solutions that happen to be for a very small targeted audience, but make transformational change for them, not just incremental change, which you tend to do for the masses. So that was point number one. Really like it. The second takeaway, and I feel like this was actually this is what I titled the blog. I almost feel like this could have been the title for the entire keynote speech from Seth, and it is "People like us do things like this." So building on the fact that a great way to provide value is to find that smallest target audience, you create that sense of loyalty, that sense of culture, and that sense of belonging within that audience when you target that specifically. So his quote, "People like us do things like this," you're creating almost this feeling, this attachment around not everyone had that specific problem that small group did. Hence the reason why you targeted to provide value. And now the people begin to adopt and use, whether it's a solution in terms of a technology platform, whether it's a product, it's a service, or it's just you directly assisting them, which essentially would be a service. They know that they're unique. They know that your solution is unique, and that people like us, you and them, the group, the community, do things like that. So you're building that following around the solution you're providing. So that small group is delighted. They now feel a sense of individuality and uniqueness, as well as you do, because you're now part of this group. This solution isn't for everybody. It's not for the 80. It's specifically for the 20. And with that comes a bit of, I don't know how you really put a word on it, but think about, and he actually uses this example in the keynote, Seth, is think about Apple, the iPhone. Initially, not everybody went out and got an iPhone. It took several years, I believe this is the figures, 2 or 3 years, before the masses went out and started participating in the trend. But in the beginning, it was a very select few. Those people who tend to be on the edges, in the fringe. For Apple's case, it was people who were very tech savvy, people who always like to have the newest gadgets. So for that time, as it was building, because it wasn't initially massive right off the bat, people like us do things like this. People who are on the fringe, people who love technology, They use iPhones. They buy iPhones. That builds the community, which obviously we can tell today became a massive success. So that second one, people like us do things like this. I'm taking that away back out more almost as a way to remind what it is we're creating when we set out to affect change. So we find that small target audience, and then we actually provide the solution. But in doing so, we're going to create a community of folks who do things a specific way and take pride in doing so. It's really important, especially for me in particular, coming from a corporate environment. I realize the importance of culture, which it's almost everything. And the third one, I think I led onto this when I mentioned it in the list, but everyone does not care. That is something I really need to remind myself a lot. And the second part of that is people don't have the problem you are trying to solve for, or at least they don't think they do, which arguably means they don't have that problem. I think I find this one so impactful because I wouldn't say I don't get too carried away, myself personally, right off the bat, but immediately when I see a solution, an area for opportunity, a place where we could create transformative change within an organization or larger in an industry, I get so excited about the possibility, and then I have found the solution before I found the problem, in a sense. So this is a great reminder to almost something I want to put on my desk or a background on a computer screen, that everyone does not care. Not in a negative light, but in the sense that it's a great challenge to how does what you're setting out to do really add value? Can you really describe quickly and concisely why someone should care about this? And I would argue that if you can't, if we can't, then if we can't explain why something is important or why someone should care right off the bat, arguably it's probably not, or it's so minuscule that it's really not going to provide an impact to actually be successful. So anyone who's from the working world or the Fortune 500 world, you'll probably have heard of go, no go. It's a great way when we either get an idea or a project, we have a set of criteria. Are we going to go ahead with this, or are we just going to no go? Are we going to shelf it because it doesn't fit? It doesn't make sense for us to pursue it, whether it's financially or ethically, any number of reasons. Go, no go. It's basically a decision matrix. You decide, are we going to move forward? Everyone does not care. So do people care, or should they care? And do they actually have the problem you're trying to solve for? For me personally, these are two questions I'm going to start to ask myself more when I set out for filming a YouTube video, writing a blog. My work is in the construction world, commercial construction world. Does the project team, does the client, do the subcontractors, does anyone actually give a crap? And I hadn't thought about it before I watched it, his keynote speech, but it's really a fantastic question, because is it going to be worth your effort to find a solution if no one's going to care enough to ever actually use it? And if it's really that hard to explain why your solution provides value, was it ever really that great of a problem in the first place? So Seth really knocked it out of the park with that one for me, because it's really it's an introspective look into that you are able to ask yourself to gain some awareness about, wow, let me hold up, is what I'm doing actually going to be impactful? So those are really my three huge takeaways from this. I'll go through them one last time for you. You want to target the smallest possible audience that you can live with, because those folks will be delighted. It's number one. Number two, people like us do things like this. And number three, and I would say most likely my favorite, I think you can tell I spent the most time on it, is everyone does not care. People don't have the problem you're trying to solve for, or at least they don't think that they do. I would say this one more than this piece of this content review more than any of the other three. Any of the other numbers of them, these 3 points all tie so closely in together. They really work together. Seamless, I like it. I like Seth Godin. It's a great video, and you should watch it. If this is your first time joining, I hope you found some value in the video today. Generally speaking, what we do here is we have conversations in the comments below. The link to the entire video is below as well. We've got a link to my personal blog where I review and write these down if you prefer that form of medium. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you back. Everyone who's joining again for a second, third, or 100th time, I appreciate you. Talk soon.